Hello vinyl community, this is Andy coming at you today from my son's bedroom. We're not shooting in the vinyl den today because there's a lot of stuff going on down there. It's loud. They're watching a movie, and it's the kind of movie that really needs to be cranked up. So I'm upstairs where it's quiet shooting a video. Again, as you probably saw from the opening there, we did our Memphis meetup this weekend and we had a blast. I met up with Goslar Ollendorf, aka Helmet Diggy, aka you know him and you love him, Bill. Bill and I had a great time. He's currently on the move going across these here United States on a very lengthy driving trip, and the stars aligned just right so that him and I could meet up this past Saturday and do some digging together. We went down on Bill Street, had a good lunch, had a good beverage, went to a couple different record stores, a couple different oddity shops, and picked up some vinyl here and there. First off, I want to say Bill is a trooper. He left Atlanta at about 6 o'clock Saturday morning and made like a, I don't know, six and a half hour drive to get to Memphis just to meet up with me so that we could like hang out together. And man, I'm sure he had to have been worn thin, but he was a trooper and he was just really awesome all day long. Bill and I really hit it off. I had to give him a hug right off the bat. If someone had been there to film it, I would have. I've taken some photos. I'll try to stick them in here and there throughout this video. We'll see how good my editing skills are. But yeah, more importantly than the actual digging, I made an even better friend than what I thought I had in Bill. He's just a great guy. Everywhere we went, people are drawn to Bill. They just, total strangers would come up and start talking to him, and he was all about it, man. He was so cool. So very laid back, very easygoing. Can't say enough good things about Bill. So Bill, thank you so much for meeting up with me. We chatted about possibly in the future doing something again, and I'd love to. So there you go. We did a lot of stuff. We had a lot of fun. The first place that I went to, I got there early, and I went to a store called Mania Records. It's on Madison Avenue in Memphis, Tennessee, and the owner's name is Paul, and Paul is a very cool guy. When I first got there, went in and looked around, and everything's just like, it's like Digger Central, just stuff stacked on top of stuff. And he was really cool. He's like, hey, can I help you find anything? And I'm like, man, I'm just looking, but I'll let you know. And I started digging, and I found several things as I went along, and we kind of struck up conversation. And Paul has met everyone under the sun. I believe he said that he's been in that location for about 22 or 23 years. And he had a lot of stories to tell from meeting and seeing Bob Weir, Jerry Garcia, Bob Dylan. He's friends with Alex Chilton, Emmylou Harris. You name them, he's met them. One of the funny little stories that he told, first he showed me a picture of Otis Redding, and Otis Redding is standing in a graveyard. And I said, well, what does this mean? And he's like, well, he did a Ancestry.com thing, and come to find out, where Otis Redding was standing was where his great-great-great-great-grandfather was buried, and that gravestone that Otis was kind of leaning on was his grandfather's grave. And apparently Otis Redding had bought that farm, and which is now Otis Redding's ranch, and the cemetery went with it. So, a cool little fun fact. I just thought I'd share that with you because it was interesting. But yeah, Audio Mania Records. If you get a chance, you're in Memphis, Tennessee, check that place out. Like I said, the owner's name is Paul. He's really cool, and man, he cut me some sweet deals on the vinyl that I picked up. I'm just gonna start showing you some stuff. A lot of this you've seen before from other videos, but stuff I didn't have, and I was glad to pick up. Here's John Anderson, Song of Seven. I'm sure a lot of you already know this. John Anderson, lead singer for Yes. And then here's another John Anderson solo album. This one is called, I can't read what it says on the front, but Elias of Sungallow, possibly. I was drawn to the cover before I even realized what it was. And for the price, I already knew I was going to buy it before I even knew it was John Anderson, just because of the artwork and everything. And it's got a little booklet. And yeah, I saw that and I couldn't pass that up. As many of you know, I'm running a contest, Name 10 Perfect Albums, and in the past week, I've had over 30 entries into this. I've watched every video, and I'm just floored by what I've seen, because everyone is all over the board on their picks for Perfect 10s, and I think that's so great. And one of the albums that one of my new subscribers showed, I came across, and I've never heard it, never seen it until he showed it. And I believe he's possibly in Australia or somewhere on the other side of the world. And it's this album, Steve Forbert, Streets of This Town. I'm familiar with the name. When I saw what the guy looked like, I remember him from back in the day, but I never really listened to his music. And someone had said this was a perfect album. And the price was right on this. And as I was paying for these, Paul, the owner of the store, commented on this. He said, hey, Steve Forbert, he comes in here all the time. Apparently he lives in Memphis. And I thought, well, that's cool, because, you know, I told him about what I was doing and how there was a guy on the other side of the world that was a big Steve Forbert fan, said this was one of his perfect albums. He said he'd be sure to tell Steve when he came in. So there you go. See what you get for subscribing to me. A word in Steve Forbert's ear. So I did give this a spin this morning, and it is really good. I'm going to listen to it a few more times to let it sink in. I have spent all day with cleaning records in the spin clean and using the goop gone to get the stickers off, because almost all of them had stickers on them. I'm not complaining. It's a chore, but it's a love of collecting vinyl. So I picked up this one. I never saw this before. This is the Geese and the Ghost, and it is a solo project from ex-Genesis guitarist Anthony Phillips. On this album, Phil Collins and Michael Rutherford of Genesis play on this. I thought, well, how cool is that? I haven't listened to it yet, so can't really make an opinion on it, but I'm really looking forward to giving it a spin. I'm afraid this is going to be a long video. I may have to break this up into 2 parts. I bought a lot of stuff this weekend. I'm not going to lie. I picked up a Hansen music inspired by Watership Down. So I've just got like a handful more Bo Hansens to go. This is a promo copy, and it's mint. Beautiful record. I don't know if I even mentioned it or not. This is a promo too on the Geese and the Ghost. So lucky to get that. And all these records were really cheap. I was surprised. Anyway, like I said, Paul at Audio Mania Records, he really cut me a deal. Kingfish, featuring Bob Weir on vocals on this particular album. You can't pass up Bob Weir for a good price. John and Vangelis, short stories. I'm a big Vangelis fan and a John Anderson fan, so I didn't have this one, but I do now. John and Vangelis private collection. I think I've already got a copy of this, but like I said, the price was right. I couldn't pass it up, so. Here's another album that someone had shown in the Perfect Album competition, and I'd never heard it, never seen it before, and I come across it, and I got a promo copy of that. Jerry Harrison Casual Gods demo, and I'm looking forward to checking this out because, you know, a lot of stuff I would pass over if it wasn't for you guys saying, hey, you really need to check this out. So I'm gonna give this a shot. Okay, and then the final item that I bought from Audio Mania is a grail of grails, in my opinion. This is Buck Owens, Just For You. This album was released in 1965, and it was only sold at Buck Owens and the Buckaroos concerts. It was never available in stores, and it's on the Capitol Custom label. And like I said, it was only sold at Buck concerts, where usually after the show they would hang out, meet the fans, sign autographs. This LP is signed by Buck and all of the Buckaroos, including Merle Haggard. You may not know this, but for a small stint early on, Merle Haggard was a Buckaroo, and the particulars behind this album, as far as where and when, I don't know, but it's signed by Buck Owens, Doyle Holly, Tom Brumley, Willie Cantu, Don Rich, Tommy Collins, who wasn't a Buckaroo but opened for Buck back in the day, and here you've got Merle Haggard. So he had a very high price tag on this. I explained to him what I was doing in Memphis, and that we were, you know, going to go to some record stores, take some photos, and give a little opinions on some of the stores we went to. So I won't tell you how much he wanted for this, but I paid just over half of what he was asking overall. So I really feel like I've made a killing on this. And Paul, I thank you. You couldn't have sold this to a bigger Buck Owens fan. And like I said, you really cut me a deal. So appreciate it, Paul. How much time we got? That's 14 minutes. I've still got a monster stack. I'm going to cut this video into 2 parts because I've still got about 30 records that I picked up at Shangri-La because they were having a big sale as well. So I'm going to split this up in 2 parts, and I'll talk more about Bill and Mines escapades. So stay tuned for part 2.